Welcome to the return of Coffee with Joe. It's February 28th,
Let's hope.
2012. It's a Tuesday. Joe has a new microphone and we think we've solved our technical problems, which is why we've been gone so long. And in the meantime, Joe, the state banking movement has been picking up steam all over the country. Ellen Brown has an article in the Huffington Post, and she's been doing a lot of work on the state banking and more than anyone else to move the state banking conversation forward. And she
Sure.
talks about how 17 states have now introduced bills for state owned banks. Vermont is among them. Not a bill to actually create a state owned bank, but a bill to create a committee to study the feasibility of a state bank and how it
Right.
would work. And state banking efforts are reform efforts in the monetary system. They
Yep.
are, when we talk about monetary reform, mostly I think of that as a national kind of a money reform system,
Right.
like what the American Monetary Institute is focused on and what the Kucinich bill is trying to accomplish. The Need
Right.
Act
Right.
is reform on a national level, and sometimes monetary reformers are a little threatened by these state reform efforts. It seems like the Bank of North Dakota has done a lot of good in North Dakota, the only state bank that exists right now, and it's existed since the 1920s. You have determined, Joe, that the Bank of North Dakota is not engaged in fractional reserve banking. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the national. Okay. The national. Why? Because money is a national identification. Okay. The monetary system is a national identification. The reforms of the monetary system have to happen at the national level. They have to. But then there's money in banking. And since we mixed our money and banking stuff under the Federal Reserve System, okay, um, what we really have here is an element of public money, Pete. It's an element of public money. It's the banking element of public money. So yeah, these initiatives at the state level are without any fractional reserve banking being involved in them, Pete. They're going forward on the basis of what we would call no non-reserve and no reserve basis, so that they are going to just be lending real money, Pete. Now, when we say real money, all the money that's been created has been created as a debt, okay?
Under
But
the
once it,
right.
but once it enters into these here state banking initiatives and they operate on a quote full reserve basis or a non-reserve basis, okay, then that money actually becomes permanent money within that state sector.
So the state bank itself does nothing to leverage the money the way the so-called fractional reserve system
That's right.
leverages the money and
That-
essentially creates money, often
That's right,
referred
Pete.
to as credit money, but it's debt money.
Yeah, the important thing there, Pete, is to remember this. It is in the creation of multiples, of theoretical base money that risk and moral hazard comes into the banking business, okay? And we can eliminate the risk and the moral hazard in the banking business by having a state bank that operates on a full reserve basis or a non-reserve basis that only lends real money. That's how all money should work, Pete, okay? But what we have is these initiatives that are starting at the state level that are going to be able to provide sound non-reserve based lending in a permanent way that's going to, dovetail very well with the reforms that are going to be coming out of the Kucinich initiative for instance, because that's the most comprehensive piece of reform legislation to the money system that's ever been put on paper, Pete. And so when that comes into existence, these uh, state banks modeled after the Bank of North Dakota will already be working on that basis, and there'll be absolutely no change, to their operations at all. Whereas the other banks are going to have to deal with the monetization of bank credit as the first step and deal with their loans and repayment backs in a different way. So this is a good, sound initiative, Pete, on the part of the states. Now, of course, this is only a study group, but you cannot advance without doing the research
Right.
before you're taking that first step. So I'm fully confident that Vermont will come out with it might come out with a measure, that is to say, phased, move into state banking. But I'm confident that it will be successful, and then we can move on to some of the other, initiatives that are also going to be available for reform, Pete. So it's a very good thing. It's a very healthy thing, and it works. To me, it's going to work just fine with the national debt-free money initiatives that we're working on.
Well, great. Well, we can probably continue the conversation about what states can do while we're waiting around for the Kucinich bill to pass on the federal level. Um,
True.
but let's see if we get any questions from our viewers on what's going on, and we'll continue the conversation from there.
Okay, Pete.
Thanks,
Great.
Joe.
Okay, thanks,
See
Pete.
ya.
Ciao.